I'm a lead farmer, motherfucker.
What is up, internet gun dorks? It is your boy, the dude. Welcome to my channel. So 10 years on the Mark 18. So I have about 10 or 11,000 rounds through this gun. It's purchased in 2012, so actually a little over 10 years. So I just wanted to share my experiences, the multiple different setups this rifle has been in, why and how they changed over time, reliability, and then my Daniel Defense customer service experience. So without further ado, let's get into it. So this rifle was purchased right around my birthday, actually in April of 2012. And as you know then, that is right when the first SB Tactical pistol brace came out. So right when that came out and the ATF approval letter came out saying that, you know, having a brace on there did not convert it to an SBR, I jumped right on it. So when I originally bought the rifle, I ordered it online, just the upper. The lower is a Aero Precision, a 2012 manufactured Aero Precision lower. I know that people hate an Aero Precision all the time, but this lower has been great, but I'm a sample size of one. I only have one Aero lower. It's been fantastic. I purchased the upper, and it was a 2012 manufactured upper. So I don't know if you guys know, but back then, Daniel Defense, their gas port size, they had a mil spec and then a commercial gas port size. This was the commercial gas port size, and it was, I think, a .82 or .84. I mean, it was huge, huge. No more jokes. Yeah, it was gaping. So because the gas port size was so big, I first got this rifle, had it set up with the pistol buffer tube with the SB, original SB stock. No! Stock. Original SB brace. And I had it on there with a regular carbine spring and a Spikes Tactical T2 buffer. And this gun with Wolf ammunition would eject, I mean, I shit you not, probably 12:30 to 1 o'clock. I mean, it was so overgassed, it was painful. Shooting 5.56 in this thing, I don't shoot suppressed. I've only shot a couple of guns suppressed, but the amount of gas I would get in my face and the violence of the recoil for a 5.56 gun, and I have multiple other ARs that were, you know, 14.5s and 16-inch guns and 18-inch guns, and the violence of that recoil. I know it's only a 2.23 or 5.56, don't get on my case, but the amount of recoil the gun had was, for a small gun like this, was ridiculous. So I mean, it was what it was. As I learned later, the Voltor A5 system would cure a lot of that. So why don't we just jump into that? I did buy a Voltor A5 system. I did put, let's see, a Springco green in there with the A5 or Voltor A5 H4. It was the heaviest buffer that they had, and it's still ejected with steel case ammunition about 3 o'clock. So it got much better, but I mean, it still was extremely violent. So fast forward to 2018, I was just going through, you know, ARF.com, and someone was like, yeah, I just hit up Daniel Defense, send it back, and they'll give you the new gas port size, which I was, you know, asking the guy through DMs, like, hey, what is the current gas port size? And it's .70. So I was like, holy shit, that's a huge difference. So called Daniel Defense at no cost. They said, if you're not happy with any part of the rifle, please no, send it back to us. We'll fix it, make it better, and send it back to you. So within a day, I had a shipping label emailed to me, packaged the rifle, sent it. I had the gun back to me in 10 business days. They paid for shipping both ways. I got the gun back, and check this out. They replaced everything except for the RIS-2 rail. They replaced the barrel, the gas block, the gas tube, the upper receiver, the entire bolt and bolt carrier group, and they sent back another Daniel Defense flash hider. I didn't need it. I'm using the, you know, the Surefire Warcom. And the only thing on there that was still original was my RIS-2 rail. So big kudos to, I know everyone hates on Daniel Defense as like a Fed group, and I get it. But big kudos to Daniel Defense for taking care of their customers, and I'm just a nobody. I was just like, hey, I need this fixed. I'm not enjoying it. And they literally sent me almost an entire new upper besides the rail. So thank you, Daniel Defense. So buy with confidence, guys. So we're gonna start at the end of the rifle, at the tip. And right now I'm running a Surefire War Comp. So originally came with Daily Defense flash hider. I then changed that about a year or two in to an A2 flash hider. And then that eventually went to the War Comp. When I originally had the gun, like I was discussing, it was the ginormous gas port size. So I was trying to find some way to mitigate the recoil, and I hadn't yet learned about the Voltor buffer system. So I moved away from Daniel Defense's flash hider and an A2. Those both did fine and were totally functional, did great with flash mitigation, and do some recoil reduction, or I guess muzzle rise reduction. But I ended up going with the War Comp. One, just like the looks. Two, I could mount my ward into it, which I ended up getting because I shoot with friends a lot, just from left and right. The progression can kind of suck on a short gun. And then three, I mean, just the porting on it, it does slightly help keep the muzzle down. Is it significant? No. But is it noticeable? Yes. I notice it. So first thing was the change to the War Comp. Surefire M300. I did originally have an M600 on here, but ended up getting just a smaller, I wanted the gun to be as light and handy as possible, so I ended up getting the M300, and for what I was using it for, I didn't need that much throw. So got the M300. I did have it on an air-SOCOM mount, but I am currently transitioning this gun to a night vision gun. So I did clear some room here. I have a D-ball D2. It is an airsoft D-ball D2. It's just a placeholder so I can kind of get used to the ergonomics of using the gun and kind of how it's going to be set up and the weight, especially with the D2. But I think I'm actually leaning away from the D2 and going with the Designate IRV by US Night Vision, but that's for a different video. But anyway, so I had an air-SOCOM mount, but I moved it down to the original mount that came with the M300 to fit that IR illuminator, laser illuminator device. Just the regular Surefire pressure pad. You can see here. That's always stayed and been the same. And then I do have the Magpul QD sling swivel. And that originally was the Daily Defense swing swivel that I had running at, I guess it'd be the 8 o'clock on the left side of the rail here. But which when I laid the gun flat, it just kind of bothered me. So I ended up just running it up top here. And also too, when I had it against my stomach, not that it was a huge deal, or against, my plate carrier or whatever I had on, it just kind of bugged me. It would catch on shit and just annoying. So I switched it to the top, and so far that's been fine. It's worked a little better, but not a significant difference. And then I am running an EOTech EXPS 3-0. Originally, and I like this way better, but originally I was running an Aimpoint, I had an H1, not a T1. I bought that in 2010, and it's still going strong. But I have an H1, was running it on here on a ScaleWorks 193 for night vision. And actually the H1 does work under night vision. It's been fine. I know it's technically not the night vision, version the T2 is, but it's actually been fine, and I've been able to shoot, only so far at 50 yards and been able to make hits pretty easily under night vision with that. But went with the EOTech because it is superior when running night vision. For me, it does seem to work better, but I do need a riser for it. It needs to sit higher. I can find it when I'm under the tube, when I'm shouldering the rifle. Let's see, get this down. When I'm shouldering the rifle, I can get it up, but I do have to kind of lean my head. As you can see, I do kind of have to lean my head or get my head into it like so. Where on the H1 on the ScaleWorks, I can just come straight up and kind of leave my head more upright, and it just works so much better. And it works better. So the EOTech has been superior for night vision. Now the downside to me is that I used this gun for home defense. So an H1 just stayed on, and I would change the battery every year the day before Christmas. Would set an alarm in my phone, would go out to my gun safe if it was stored, if family was over, or wherever I have it in the house, and would switch out that battery on December 30th. I know the battery life is 50,000 hours or 5 years, but I would just change it every year just to be safe. And I just keep it on all the time. And now with this gun, yes, it is a night vision gun, so I know obviously if I'm putting my helmet on and running a nod and turning this all on, I have time to obviously turn this on as well and set it into night vision mode. So not a huge deal in this way it's set up, but as a home defense gun, I much rather, or just as an all-around gun, I would much rather have the H1 on here with the riser, the 193. And then going back, I'm just running PCM Mod 3 charging handle. I was running a Radian Raptor that actually I took off a Triarch build that I have, but again, that's for another video. And this has been excellent. Was running Knight's Armament, Knight's Armament rear, a 300 to 600 meter, and a Magpul Pro, which is just blast for me on a Mark 18 to not run a CAC front, you know. But at the time, I just didn't want to pay, I think, the $150 or $200 what they were at the time. I know they're more expensive now, and I wish I would have bought it, but I didn't. So, but I'm not running any iron sights on here. Obviously, once I get the the designated IRV on here and have this aiming device as well. I mean, that's 2 aiming devices. I kind of just followed Aaron from Sage Dynamics that if you have 2 ways of aiming your rifle, he doesn't really think there's a need for a third. He has a ton more experience under night vision, and in real life probably actually have people shoot at him and shoot back than I do. I have 0. So I'm just trusting him for what he says and taking him at his word. So I'm not running any iron sights on here. As far as the trigger goes, it is a Geissele Super Dynamic Combat. It is their flat face trigger, and this trigger is excellent, but I actually prefer, out of the 3 triggers that I've used their SSA, their SSAE, and their Super Dynamic Combat in my personal guns. I have also used the Super Dynamic Combat Enhanced, I believe it is, and I do just like the SSAE. That is my overall favorite Geissele trigger that I've personally used, but this one works just fine. That SSAE is in another build. That's a Knight's Armament BCM build, which again is blasphemy to mix those 2 together, but it is what it is. It's been a great trigger. It's excellent. It's fast. It breaks clean. It resets super short and crisp. And it's always been, I ordered that at the same time that I purchased the lower. And then moving back, the biggest change for me was once I learned about the Voltor A5. So the Voltor A5 changed pretty much how this whole gun feels. And then of course when the SBA3 came out, it was just a no-brainer. So bought the SBA3 and running now with the 2018 manufactured upper with the .70 size gas port. I'm running a Voltor A5 with a Springco green rifle spring and an A5H1. And this gun, actually the way it's set up, I might have to go to an A5H0. This gun shoots so soft. Everyone that I handed to, it shot softer. I know Triarch makes a big thing about how soft their guns shoot. I had a Triarch upper, called and spoke to them and asked them what buffer system they recommend, and they recommended a Voltor A5 with a Springco green and an A5H1. And this gun, this Mark 18, shoots softer than that Triarch did. It actually shoots so soft that with steel case ammunition now, it does not function. It short strokes. It gets the brass out. It short strokes. It short strokes and it will eject the brass out, but it won't pick up a new round out of the magazine. So it almost shoots too soft, where I rather, if I'm having a gun that's gonna be a home defense gun or kind of a shit at the fan gun, that it runs all kinds of ammunition. Low power, 223, brass, and steel case. But I'm telling you guys, put a Voltor A5 H1 on actually all your guns, but especially on your Mark 18s. And if you have a 2016 is when they changed the gas port size. If you have a pre-2016 or 2018, whatever the huge gas port size is, you definitely should be running a Voltor H5 and just run the A5 H4. It helps substantially. And it really does change the recoil impulse of this gun. I'll roll in some footage and just show you with the Voltor A5 H1 and then what I previously had it set up as with just a regular carbine buffer and buffer spring and a Spikes Tactical T2. So in 2023, would I still buy a Mark 18? Without a doubt, unequivocally, yes. Just the .70 gas port, the recoil impulse, the rugged reliability of the RIS-2, and Daniel Defense's manufacturing processes. And after looking at their bolt carrier groups, Knight's bolt carrier groups, BCM bolt carrier groups, and Triarch bolt carrier groups, and just noticing different machining and blemishes and other things, honestly, it's a great gun for the price for an upper for what are they, $1,200? I hands down would still buy this in 2023. So hopefully this helps, guys. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Hey, seriously, thanks for watching. Hopefully you found some of this interesting. Make some adjustments to your Mark 18. And remember, I'm just a dude disguised as a dude playing another dude who enjoys guns. You should too. Take it easy.